If you've ever found yourself wondering why people with ADHD go God mode when we're pissed, you're in the right place. If you start a fight with someone with ADHD, you probably think you've ruined their day, but actually, you probably just catalyzed the perfect chemical balance in their brain to clean the messes in their house that they've been ignoring since the Obama administration. Anger creates the exact neurochemical environment that ADHD brains need to function. ADHD brains burn through dopamine and norepinephrine at lightning speed compared to neurotypical brains. These are the chemicals that are responsible for focus, task initiation, sustained effort, and prioritization. Anger, frustration, urgency, and pure fuck you energy flood the brain with norepinephrine. So in layman's terms, when somebody absolutely full send pisses in your Cheerios, your brain suddenly has the productivity fuel it's been missing. So it's not actually you being productive despite being pissed off. You're productive because you're pissed off. Now the downside to this is the obvious emotional crash that inevitably comes afterwards. So here's how to replicate that gorgeous cocktail of borrowed focus without making your nervous system pay the price. You don't need anger, you need activation. Anger works because it creates urgency, pressure, and consequences. We need to recreate those exact ingredients on purpose. First thing you can try is using aggressive timers. And an aggressive timer is not, I'll work for 30 to 60 minutes, and it's not gentle productivity music. Here are some examples of aggressive timers. You need to tell yourself, I am not finishing the task, I'm racing the clock. So for example, you could set a 7-minute timer, clean as much of the kitchen as humanly possible, and when the timer ends, you stop, even if you're mid-task. This works because short deadlines spike norepinephrine, your brain treats it like a threat instead of a chore, and stopping on purpose prevents burnout and protects autonomy. That way the demand avoidant part of your brain can fuck right off. The next thing you can try is gamifying it. Gamification means points, rules, in a win condition, not make it fun. That's pretty useless. Here's just one example of a way you could gamify it. Here's another example of a way you could gamify it. ADHD brains love beating a score even when it's their own. The next thing you can try is using external pressure. And I mean real pressure, not imaginary bullshit. External pressure means someone else knows you're doing the task. There are some examples that actually work. You need to use embarrassment strategically. So promise proof, set a consequence, which honestly I recommend something pretty diabolical, and then follow through. Pressure replaces anger. It triggers the same chemicals without the emotional damage. Something else I recommend under any circumstance for people with ADHD is to shrink the task to the first physical movement. So instead of saying things like this, say things like this. ADHD brains freeze at concepts, but they move with physical actions. And lastly, you should change stimulation when your brain flatlines. So if your brain goes dead in the middle of a task, change rooms, change music, change your posture, change the temperature, one change at a time. The reason for that is because novelty equals dopamine. Same prolonged environment equals shutdown. Anger works because it gives ADHD brains urgency, pressure, and stimulation. So instead of waiting until you're furious enough to function, you build those things intentionally. The goal is never productivity at the cost of your nervous system. The goal is getting shit done without emotionally self-destructing first. Once you understand that, you can stop using rage as fuel and you'll be golden, bachacho.